to one and all who have joined us for our 35th episode of Nurse Talk Show. This is our second season. So today also we are so grateful to all of you have joined on time and you all are giving us timely feedback which is really needed for us for our further growth. So we sincerely grateful to you all for accepting our invitation and join with us. So today we have a package with a good nurse leader, two vibrant nursing students, and a inspiring nurse for public health. So nurses, the this show mainly aim to motivate the nurse and the students by introducing them to Indian nursing leaders, or we can say Indian nightingales. So this show provides the opportunity to the general nurse and students to learn from leaders, the role models in nurses, knowingly or unknowingly, those who are inspiring others to imitate positive behavior. So this is an initiative to bring a large system change by changing the attitude of nurses and empowering them with right, positive, and constructive knowledge. So today we have our first session is going to dealt by Dr. Manju Dandapani. I don't know anybody, I do not need introduce to her because we all know her. She's a lecturer in National Institute of Nursing Education, PJ Chandigarh. Along with that, she holds the post of Secretary, Society of Indian Neuroscience Nurses. She is a PhD holder in nursing in neuroscience, and she had worked under AIMS, PIMS, JIPMER, and she had great achievements in nursing field, and she is a motivation for many. Recently she has been awarded, like she has been selected globally among 100 nurses by Women in Global Health in collaboration with WHO, ICN, ICM. Her research area is on brain tumor, pituitary tumor, traumatic brain injury, and stroke. She had great contribution in neuroscience nursing. She had developed stroke nursing guidelines, stroke survivors, caregiver support group, and many more. Because I'm not going to tell about all these things because Madam Manju will going to share about her experience and her story. So we welcome you, Madam Manju Dandapani, and we would like to listen you like your journey, like how you being a neuro nurse, what story that turned the road, what it took to set up nurse initiated neuro special care, what the services provided, how you got resources for the same, and what is your future vision for neuro care, and would you be able to uh, throw light on any impression on neuro nurse practitioner in coming era in India? And if you please able to share with like any good feedback from your patient, any success stories or any differences made by nurses, which will be really wonderful to listen to us, as well as it will be interesting for our students as well, because I do not want to disturb you in between. That's why I said all the questions at a stretch to you, ma'am. I'm sorry for that, but I'm sure that you are going to inspire us. Over to you, Madam Manju.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the kind words of appreciation and a very good evening to everyone gathered here. First of all, I would like to thank Uma Handa Madam, whom I have met her in an NRSA conference and recently NRSA Research Methodology Workshop, which was organized in TGI along with CNRSA. Sorry, I'm sorry. So Uma Handa Madam and the core team, Madam Sri Devi, Rekha, Chris, Rupa, and Dolma and Geeta. So thank you for inviting me to this program, and I'm honored to be a part of this program. And I'm also very happy that you are also addressing the public, which can enhance the visibility of the nurses towards public. So as Chris was rightly telling, this kind of programs are really going to be useful. No, just not to showcase any of the nurse leaders or showcase anyone, but at least to know what we can do in nursing. As he was rightly telling, imitating positive behavior. Okay, some people may be imitating you, some may be even trying to compete with you. However, both ways going to benefit the patients and going to benefit the nursing profession. So it is very important for us to create a positive impact of our behavior or inspire our youngsters who are in nursing, who are the real future of nursing profession in India. I'm so happy again, Ma'am Uma, to see you. And I still remember the inspirational words and story that you shared with us during the research methodology workshop. Thank you so much to be associated with you, ma'am. So to begin with my story, so though I was selected in few institutes for BSc nursing, I did my BSc honors nursing in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, where I got best teachers, best learning facilities, and best resources, I can say, because we had all types of patients and all types of cases, and you know that it's the best institute in the country. So there the work integrity and the teaching learning method really inculcated critical thinking in me and made me to understand that the scientific knowledge related to each and every subject that we learn is really important for nurses to make independent clinical decisions and enhance the autonomy of the nurses. So I was really, though I was not liking nursing that much that time, because I did not know what is the future of the nursing other than to become a teacher in nursing or to be at bedside or to go abroad. I was not aware what is the future of nursing. So though as I told, I was not liking the nursing profession much. I was but curious to learn those techniques and skills which can really used by the nurses for clinical practice. So after completion of my course, I joined neurosurgery ICU in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi only, where I really understood what nursing is. I met a bunch of nurses who were epitome of skill and assertiveness in nursing, where the patients from unknown to VIP received the best care in the country, I would say, which I really did not realize till I come out of AIIMS. And even my friends abroad, they told that even we are not here in abroad providing that good care that we provided in AIIMS Neurosurgery ICU, and some other ICUs are there, where we used to provide complete care, like as per the protocol. We used to give care to the patients, and they used to really benefit from us. So we used to get a lot of appreciation from the doctors, consultants, and the nurses were many times appreciated by the consultants in front of the residents. They used to say that if you are taking care of the patient, we can relax, and if you take care of the patients better than us. And I remember that our keen observation used to be critical in patient management and saving life of the patients. I still remember some of the incidents where I could identify the ICD blockage, like patients deterioration leading to identification of EDH, vasospasm, shunt block, and many other things. Like we nurses, not only me, I'm not about telling about me, every nurse in that ICU and neuro department was so skillful that they have really influenced. And I salute to all of them, and salute to those nurse administrators. Like nursing faculty, they used to take rounds near to us, and encourage all the nurses to provide holistic nursing care to the patients. And even the patients and caregivers used to be very happy, whether to recovery or to death, we provided the best nurse. And every day we tuned ourselves to the best to improve our skills in nursing. And I still remember that like one of the mother of a 3-year-old child was saying, the child was admitted as M1 in ICU, almost brain dead once due to head injury. And after death, mother was telling, I'm so thankful to you people, because you could give better comfort than us, when we wouldn't have been able to provide such comfort during the end days of his life. And not only that, many patients after because our patients may be comatose, or their caregivers used to bring them back when they come to for the follow-up to us, and they used to say that these are the nurses who took care of you. So the credit is not for me, all the nurses were so superb over there. So that really molded what is nursing. And but though we provided best nursing care, I felt some kind of unmet needs the patients and the caregivers who are facing, but I was not having idea what we can do, what as nurses, whether nurses can do something, or how we can address it. So that's the time after 4.5 years of my clinical experience, I joined for a master's in neuroscience nurses in nursing in AIMS Delhi again. So there, when I was learning, whether it is nursing research, evidence-based nursing, education, in-service education, whether about administration, it was all going deep into my brain because I was visualizing myself applying all of those techniques and skills because I knew the gaps in the clinical area because I had good clinical, I had worked in clinical for a long time. So I could really understand how I'm going to use it. And those skills and techniques became a part of, I internalized myself before I started practicing that. That is this um, real possession of my nursing journey, I can say that. So I really thank all my teachers, especially Dr. Manju Alsa, Dr. Sandhya Gupta, Dr. Rachel Andrews, and Madam Meena Agarwal. They all were so instrumental in molding us into better nurses, and where we really understood that the nurses who are specialized in various specialities during the masters can do tremendous change in the healthcare outcome of the patients. They can bring a lot of expanded and extended role to the nurses, which was so far not happening in the country. So, like after that, after completing my MSc, I got the opportunity to work in AIMS as a faculty. There, I really learned some of the real teaching skills and evaluation skills during my practice in AIMS. And once I left AIMS, really, still I understood that like the patient care and everything what we learned was really good, and that was has molded me so well. And after that, maybe during that also through various observation, I found that various status of nursing in India, I can say, whether it is in clinical practice or in education. I saw institutes, college of nursing, which are running just as a pure business. And they also saw some of the college of nursing which are very good, and some of the colleges where they believe that only work is worship, not the family and self. And also when we come to the clinical practice, I have seen nurses who are really knowledgeable and empowered and assertive to provide patient care in many institutes like NIMHAN, CMC. And but simultaneously, I also saw some of the corporate hospitals where there is a very high turnover of the nurses, where the patients are not managed by specialized nurses, where the nurses are doing double duties, and a lot of problems that nurses are facing, and they are not feeling happy to be a nurse, and a lot of troubles, and due to lack of the rights and the rights and privileges that they are getting. So with this all, I developed my vision that okay, nurses in our country are not really recognized, and there is a reason behind it. It is not the society who is the reason for that. It is we ourselves are also reason for that. We need to showcase ourselves. We need to be more visible to the nurses through using our knowledge, competency, communication, and skill. We need, because patients and caregivers, the societies are consumers. In every nurse, there's a nurse researcher, clinical nurse, nurse educator, and nurse administrator. We need to utilize these skills to reach to the society and to impact the healthcare outcome of the society. So you know that in healthcare, nurses are in huge number, and the majority of the healthcare workers are the nurses. And so definitely the contribution of nurses is more in the healthcare outcome of the patients. And we know that if you take a patient and make the list down the interventions that need for the patient, definitely the number of interventions prescribed will be by the nurse will be more than the number of interventions prescribed by the doctors. So we can understand that we have more autonomy than doctors of the patients, but we are really not exercising. Many times we give our interventions to the doctors, and doctors start writing interventions for us like oral care, suction, chest physiotherapy. When they start writing our intervention for us, then we are actually handing over our autonomy to them, and we are becoming submissive unnecessarily and becoming frustrated and demotivated. But that should not be the scenario. We need to come out and we have to be self-empowered and should exercise our competency to the society and among other healthcare workers. That's the only way out, and we have to prove ourselves to the society. So after when once I developed this vision, and I also observed that.
Madam, may I interrupt in
Yeah.
between? Madam, can you please come to like what motivate you become a neuroscience and how you did? in more about that, as you
Yeah.
said, nurse-led neuro, because we
Okay. Okay.
have
I'm coming to it. I'm coming to it.
time limit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for
So
it.
yeah, then that was the time I was doing my joint PhD, and I was doing my PhD in nursing, where I was addressing the issues of patients and the caregivers, especially neuropsychological issues of the patients and caregivers, of brain tumor and other neurosurgical conditions. So we expanded our research into various other neurosurgical conditions, and we found that these patients are having a lot of neuropsychological and physical symptoms even after the discharge. So with my guide, Dr. Sandhya Gupta, we did further evidence-based literature, and we tried to explore what we can do for that. Then we came across the idea of developing nurse-initiated brief counseling. So we developed a module for providing structured counseling to the patient, and did the testing, and we did a research and found out that this is effective in reducing the patients and caregivers burden. And so now is it possible for me to administer that, or me to counsel all the patients and the caregivers? It was impossible. So we again did the further review of literature and came with the idea of starting a nurse-led clinic, neurosurgery nurse-initiated clinic. So then when we looked at, we did not have any resources. So that's the time I looked at the Donaghadian model, structure, process, and outcome. In terms of structure, I identified a neuro nurse who did masters in neuro, and then we developed tools and techniques to evaluate the patients, and we identified a space in OPD, and we developed our protocol to guide the nurse to proceed with the nurse-led counseling. So we initiated this. So on the OPD days, the neurosurgery nurse counselor would address the patients who are coming for follow-up. And other days, other than the OPD days, she will visit the inpatients, and we provide discharge advice to the patients, and also train the caregivers to take care of their problems and to identify and discuss their problems. So when the patient is coming for follow-up, the caregiver is coming for the follow-up, she's addressing both patient and caregivers and identifying their problem. If required, she refers to the neuropsychologist. That's how she functions. So to initiate this was really difficult. So we had to get permission from various authorities, departmental head, MS, NS, and it was really a hectic job, but still we could make it possible to initiate a neurosurgery nurse-led clinic, so which could really bring a lot of change in the impact and the patient's outcome. So similarly, we wanted to again utilize the specialized nursing care for the neuro patients, because my area is neuro. I wanted to focus mainly to the neuro, though I would like to empower the nurses in other aspects also. So we have also started empowering our stroke nurses. We have developed stroke guidelines from behalf of Society of Neurosciences and PGA, which will contain all the evidence-based literature for the guidelines for the nurses to practice. And we also wanted to address the stroke patients and their caregiver burden. So based on the HIV and ostomy support groups, which I had attended some time back, I thought of initiating a stroke care patient and survivor and caregiver support group in PGA as well as. So this again, like a neurosurgery nurse-led clinic, this again was first of its kind in India. So we conducted 2 years, we conducted a stroke survivor and caregiver support group. Again, we have developed this protocol, patient care booklet and everything. And then we conducted, but due to COVID, it is affected a little bit. And other than that, we also have developed behalf of Society of Indian Neuroscience Nurses, we have started stroke certification course for the nurses, so that they can practice independently as stroke nurses. So before starting, we thought, okay, we will also acquire some. So we also have undergone online stroke nursing certification course before, so that to equip ourselves. Though we have done neuroscience nursing, to equip ourselves, we have done that, and then we have initiated the stroke certification course. So these are the small contribution which I have done in neuro aspects, and also whatever studies we do in neuro, we do publish as well. So we are able to contribute to the and expand the body of knowledge of neuroscience nursing. And other than that, we have recently started amputation clinic. Amputation clinic, because we were already running nurse-led clinic in neurosurgery. We started an amputation clinic. I'm just a part of the team. I'm not the one who's leading it. I'm not in charge of that. So now, like I feel that nurses the specialized nurses like neuro nurses can be considered as clinical nurse specialized as compared to the Western countries, and can really be used in the clinical setting for providing better patient care. And they can coordinate and implement evidence-based nursing practices. And there is a scope of family nurse practitioners to address the primary and tertiary care preventive needs of the neurosciences, because many primary prevention is very important, and many patients after discharge require rehabilitation. They also need to be provided. They all come back to the hospitals, which really congest tertiary care level institutes like ours. So if family nurses, practitioners are there, who are specialized in various neuro, so like the different specialty, they can address the patients independently in various aspects. So other than my contribution to neuro, if I talk about other than the Society of Indian Neuroscience Nurses, in education, I'm really fond of evaluation aspects. Many people believe that practical exams, conducting practical exams, there's a myth that it is not that important. We should not burden the students. We should not fail the students. And they don't conduct the practical exams properly. Like one workshop attendees, they told us that, ma'am, whatever you tell that how to conduct a practical exam seems to be impossible, because we have never undergone a practical exam like this, and it is not possible. I told, we are every year, and many institutes, we know that we conduct practical exam very properly, including OSCE, OSLER, and everything. So which is very, very important, because that's what ultimately we need to evaluate, because we know that if we don't evaluate something, we can just take it that we have not taught it. So we are contributing something to initiate OSCE journal clubs, and various other methods of teaching learning activities in our institute as well. And even during COVID, we have done some kind of contributions, like we were a part of surveillance team through we in our team had developed a new innovative technique of real-time monitoring of doffing. And other than that, we have done intensive literature search to develop guidelines for critically ill COVID patients, which is under publication. And other than that, we also continue to empower the nurses throughout the country by attending various workshops and conferences, and also would like to disseminate our research works through publication. So that is one of my interesting area, because I feel that when we do publication in good indexed journals, what we can do is we are expanding the body of our knowledge, and that satisfaction we have, as well as we are also we are also showing our maybe Indian nurses in a global platform. We are able to show. That's also one of the, so many nurse researchers are publishing, and I'm very happy that, especially journals which are indexed in PubMed and Scopus, so happy to see that. So this is all about my journey. So I motivate, my vision is that specialized nurses should be able to coordinate the entire nursing fraternity to provide better patient care to the patients who are suffering in our society. And we should be able to address the primary, secondary, and tertiary care level needs of our society. And nurses should be able to say one day that proudly that I'm a nurse, and the nurse society should be able to recognize a nurse and accept a nurse through her contribution to enhance the healthcare outcome of the society. So I
Thank you.
think
Thank you
in
so
this
much,
short time,
ma'am.
that much only I can say.
Yeah,
Sorry
actually,
if I
we
have
would
extended
like
the
to,
time.
yeah, we would like to hear you more, but yeah, we have shortage of time since this is an online platform. But this was really an inspiration, because you are a brilliant student also, as well as you are a eminent nurse leader, we must say that. So these both things are the motivation and ideal role model for many of the students and nurses. As you said, like specialty nurses, they can do lot of contribution to the society, so they can empower our coming generation and nurses. So your life story will definitely inspire the nurses to strive to excel in their professional, personal, and social life. Once again, from our heartfelt gratitude from core team to you, ma'am Manju. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, entire team. Thank you, Madam Uma.
A very good evening to one and all present here. Now it's time to start our student section, that is debate. The topic of today's debate is pros and cons of working at primary health hospitals and tertiary healthcare hospitals. Not taking much time, I just want to invite our first speaker, Miss Mansi Sharma. She is a multi-talented girl, basic fourth year from Delhi only. She opted nursing because she want to create a difference in the nursing by doing something different in a different way. And she want to become a torchbearer to the newcomers so that she can guide to the newcomers by her skill, knowledge, and passion. So over to you, Miss Manvi. You have to speak pros and cons of working with primary healthcare setups. Over to you, Miss Manvi.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been a privilege that I've been given this opportunity to speak in front of all these wonderful people. I really feel honored that I've been given this opportunity, and I'll try to make the best out of it. So, good evening, all the dignitaries and all the people present. Today, I've been given the topic to speak the pros and cons of PHC. I would like to start my debate with a quote. The purpose of life is not to be happy, it is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and you have lived well. By Ralph Waldo Emerson. Just as nurses are the backbone of the hospital, the PHCs are the backbone of the healthcare system. The concept of primary healthcare has been repeatedly reinterpreted and reformed. In some context, it is related to the basic primary given healthcare given to the poor people who cannot afford it. And to others, it is the provision of ambulatory or first level of personal healthcare services. In other contexts, primary healthcare has been understood as a set of priority health interventions. Others understand it as an essential component of human development, focusing on economic, social, and political aspects. Now, according to WHO, it has three components on the basis of which they define primary healthcare. First thing is meeting people's healthcare needs through comprehensive, promotive, protective, preventive, curative, rehabilitative, and palliative care, strategically prioritizing key healthcare services aimed at individuals and families through primary care. This point alone shows how much importance primary healthcare is in healthcare system. For example, in COVID-19 situation, also COVID taught us that if we need our healthcare system to be better, we have to strengthen our basic health system, that is primary healthcare. And we often think that tertiary healthcare is quite important because it offers many facilities and it offers better workplace and better healthcare personnel, etc. But we often forget that tertiary care only focuses on curative aspect, whereas primary healthcare focuses on all other aspects, that is promotive, preventive, curative, etc. Now, second component, according to WHO, is systematically addressing the broader determinants of health, including social, economic, environmental, as well as people's characteristics and behavior through evidence-based actions across all sectors. It shows that primary healthcare not only covers the physical health or care based on symptoms, but on other aspects as well. The third component is that primary healthcare empower individuals, families, and communities to optimize their health. Primary healthcare have been proven to be a highly effective and efficient way to address the main causes of poor health and well-being today, as well as handling the emerging challenges that threaten health and well-being tomorrow. Evidence shows that primary healthcare, if it is given quality healthcare in the primary sector, it improves the healthcare costs efficiency by reducing hospital admissions. Addressing increasingly complex healthcare needs for a multi-sectoral approach that integrates health promoting and preventive policies, solutions that are responsive to communities, and health services that are people-centered. It is also including the key elements needed to improve health, security, and prevent health threats such as epidemics and resistance, which is critical for withstanding shocks to the healthcare system. Stronger primary healthcare is essential to achieve the health-related sustainable development goals, or we can see health for all. And universal health coverage contributing to attainment of goals beyond the health goal, including poverty, hunger, water, sanitation, and other economic aspects as well. And we as a nurses can play a very important role in attaining those goals because we provide care. The cons of PHCs includes lack of manpower and facilities. According to me, the biggest con of PHCs when related to tertiary sector is that tertiary sector has manpower. There are various doctors of various specialities and kinds, whereas in PHCs, we have limited doctors and many PHCs are even working without a doctor. That is the main concern of today. And it can be corrected by financing more residency slots and additional salaries for PHC physicians, and they have to be subsidized. Second problem is the lack of technology. PHCs lack the latest equipments for better treatment, whereas tertiary sector has many technological equipments which help in treating the patients better. So it can be corrected by optimized utilization of public resources and increasing public spending on healthcare. Capacity building through training, especially training of paramedic staff, increasing the role of family physician in healthcare delivery system. All these things can be done.
Mansi, you are muted. Manvi, you are muted.
To conclude my part, I would like to say PHCs are the future of healthcare, and this corona situation have made us realize that how much important it is to strengthen our basic or the base of the healthcare if we want to make our foundation better. As I earlier mentioned, that PHCs are the backbone of the healthcare. If we want to stand firm and we want to be stable, we have to make our backbone stronger and we have to lay a strong foundation in order to make the building better. That is the tertiary healthcare. Also, we often say that tertiary care provides many advanced facilities, but we forget that if the primary healthcare is given properly, there may be no need of hospitalization. If we give proper primary health care and if we give focus on prevention, curation, and various promotive aspects, there may be no need for hospitals, for patients to be get admitted to the hospital. We can prevent it even before starting. And it can be, we can also focus on early diagnosis as well. Mostly diseases are severe and diseases worsen because of late diagnosis. If we diagnose it early, there may be no need for it to worsen. We can detect it at early stage. Of course, for strengthening the primary healthcare system, it may take time, I agree, but it is important to focus on that area. In a nutshell, I would like to say that for healthcare to become better, primary healthcare centers need to be better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mansi. Thank you, Manvi. Sorry. Thank you, Manvi, for your such a vision and your thought. It definitely inspired a lot. Now it's time to call our second debater, Miss Aristo Sanapati. She is also from Chhattisgarh and studying in BSc 4th year. She wanted to opt nursing because she wanted to adopt anything from medical line. But after the guidance of her family and friends, she opted nursing because she believed that nursing is a profession where one can learn a lot in a single course. She wants to see herself after 10 or 5 years as a highest rank holder in the defense. So I must congratulate you for your vision. So please welcome Ms. Aristo Sanapati. You have to speak pros and cons for the tertiary care setup. Over to you, Ms. Aristo.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you all. So let me start by speaking. As the number of diseases has increased, the bandwidth of the healthcare system has evolved at various levels. For example, in males can be treated at primary healthcare. But if you want to get a lung transplant, you require a 5-story building with a helipad and building software and all sorts of equipment and complicated equipment and machines. So in general, for major medical health problems, we need a specialized and a centric healthcare. Hello everyone, I'm Aristo Sanapati and I want to bring your attention to the fact and throw light on the topic, that is pros and cons of working in tertiary healthcare. So we know that the health system is divided into three types, that is the primary, tertiary, and secondary. And at the beginning, I was speaking about the all sorts of special machines and complicated equipment. So let's take the ventilator. A latest example I would like to put forward that during the time of COVID-19, we were all so much in need of the ventilated ICUs, right? Yes, even the general public understands that the major health problem requires major care. And we cannot blame the health system for dividing the tiers in according to the complexities, that is from minor to major. But we appreciate that the tertiary healthcare has dealt with the COVID-19, and this can be the best pros of tertiary healthcare, I would say. And looking into the fact that do we think, or can we think that does tertiary healthcare has some cons? Yes, definitely. The cost and affordability of tertiary healthcare is always a hint. We require a health system where the quality, quantity, affordability, accessibility is equal to all, which is not actually. As the public expenditure is low in our country, even the WHO estimates that in aggregate that India has 1.5 GDP. India spends 1.5 GDP on public health care, which is least if we compare in comparison to the overpopulated country, that is China. China spends 3 times more than India, and Europe spends 10 times more than India. So just look at the difference, 1 and 10. So my friends, here the story does not end. We see that people rush for a minor ailment to the tertiary health care. Why? Because of its high quality, because of the specialized care that is given with the help of the expertise. And even a layman thinks that why to jump from primary to secondary, then to tertiary, let's go directly to the tertiary healthcare. And this mentality is burdening the tertiary healthcare at last. And this is again not the end. The health personnel are falling short. Yes, the number of health personnel are short, even in the best to best government hospital. For example, the doctor-patient ratio is 1:2000, whereas it has to be 1:1000. It is 100% short. And let's leave the doctor. Even the nurses fall short. That is 43% they fall short. If we compare in comparison with the WHO recommendation, that is 3 nurses per 1,000 population. So here we see that there are more number of patients, less number of health personnel, which is creating extra shifts, bringing fatigue, and ultimately leading to human risk error. So because of this, the tertiary healthcare has no option but to rely on the private sector, which is not right. So here I would say that the ultimate thing what is happening is people are rushing towards the quality care, the timely management, what they get to in the private sector. So even the tertiary health sector fails to give the optimum care because of the overcrowding and the burden what it gets because of the public pressure. So friends, the fact that I would like to put forward is, if we want the quality of care to be increased, we need to look into the number of people. We need to look into the number of people who can just be divided, like according to the severity, as the health system tier is divided. So we should look into that, and we should aware the people that if you have a minor ailment, you should firstly go to the primary, and if you have a major ailment, you should move to the secondary and the tertiary. And friends, let me not cover up the pros of tertiary healthcare. The pros of the tertiary healthcare is always organized, well equipped, and there is job projected growth. And research also says that by 2026 there will be 2.4 million employment, and this is the occupational group, and it has a vision that there will be sure a good number of employment given, and this is again definitely a best pros of tertiary healthcare, I would say. And working in an environment of tertiary healthcare, the nurses, they mostly prefer, or there is a dream of a nurse to work in tertiary healthcare hospital, because there she gets to learn more and the knowledge is vast there. And looking into the complexities, due to the complexities, the nurses are able to learn and upgrade themselves and refine their skills, no matter what the shortcomings come in this tertiary healthcare. So last, I would conclude by saying that a statement I would like to put forward, that is, which is told by William Osler, that caring for the patient is important, not the disease. And I would say that last, I would say that the nurses need to upgrade themselves, and nurses need to aware the people around about the health sector and about the divisions of the health sector, so that the public may be more aware and they may be less burdening towards any of the tire that the health system has created. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aristo. Thank you, Manvi. You both did really justice to the topic given. I really congratulate to both of you. For one thing, I just want to tell both of you, wherever you are working, either in the primary sector or in the tertiary sector, you have to give your 100% with the care and dedication. It may not be possible that the person or the patient will remember your name, but the care, the concern you will give your patient will always remember in the heart of the patient. So God bless you all. Thank you very much for coming to the show. Over to you, Miss Rupa. I'm just getting Rupa to take a poll. It's not a competition, basically. It's just an opinion. Who could able to impress our audience? You have to choose either you want to prefer work in the primary care setup or in the tertiary healthcare setup.
Yeah, I hope everybody able to see the question. Please answer the poll question based on what you heard about primary and tertiary care. Where would you like to work? Primary or tertiary care hospital? I request everyone, please vote. Till now, we got only 25% vote. 30 seconds more to go. Yeah. Please, at least I want 75% nurses should answer this question so that we can understand where actually you wanted to work. We haven't reached even 50 right now.
Do it fast, please.
Then. I hope everybody can see the results.
So people are agree. There's a very minor difference in the primary care setup and tertiary care setup. We have to acknowledge whatever response given by our audience. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ms. Rupa.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rekha.
Thank you. So as we know, Rupa, can you please stop the poll? Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's done.
It's over.
So in the last every episode, we had Q session for students and public. So this is a time for our students Q segment. So the rules are same, that this is only for nursing students and only one submission per student. You can please write the answer in the chat box in Zoom along with your full name. And student who writes the correct answer first will be the winner, and winner will get a small cash prize. So here comes the question. The question is, what will be the approximate fractional inspired oxygen, that is FiO2, if a patient is on 4 liters oxygen? I repeat the question. What will be the approximately fractional inspired oxygen if a patient is on 4 liters of oxygen? You can write the answer in chat box. Thank you. Rupa, you can continue to our next segment, which is on public health.
Thank you, Chris. It's my proud privilege to introduce one of my former colleague, and As Chris said since beginning that we have this platform to celebrate nursing, and Ma'am Manju really started with the rocking show and the debaters. I must congratulate each and everyone. And today I'm proud privileged to introduce Mr. B.L. Chaudhary. People talk about the academics excellence, but I talk about the clinical excellence. And this person is actually a clinical excellent person. He is GNM, and he is having vast experience in urology. He is designated as senior urology nurse at Indian Spinal Injury Center, Vasant Kunj, New Delhi, with more than a decade experience in urology, and he handled all types of urology equipment. He is a part of many national and international conferences as a speaker and participant, as well as he is part of many clinical research papers. So I am privileged to have you today, Mr. BL, for this public health session. Over to you. Thank you very much, B.L. Chaudhary, for accepting our invitation on the behalf of Nurse Talk Show. Over to you, sir. Yeah.
Rupa, is PPT, please.
Yeah, I'm just showing his PPT. Yeah, he started. By the time, BL, you may start. Yes. Please make it full screen, sir. Mr. BL, you can switch off your camera if you're finding any difficulty with the bandwidth.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
I think he had some network issues. He's
Yeah,
he's
that's
not
what
here
I
right
am
now.
also guessing. I sincerely apologize for this technical glitches, because sometimes things are not in our hands. And we respect and appreciate your patience waiting. We respect your time, because your time is really precious for us. But I hope you will be agree that sometimes technology goes out of the hand.
Now he's here. You can make him co-host.
Mr. BL, you are co-host now. We can see your slides, BL. You can start speaking. You can keep your video off.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. BL, over to you, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Namaskar. Thank you, Rupa ma'am, to inviting me on such a good platform. आज मैं आपसे बात करूंगा मोस्ट कॉमन जो इन्फेक्शन होता है यूरिन में होने वाले जो प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं, उनको जो डे टू डे हम फेस करते हैं, उनको हम कैसे उसको प्रिवेंट कर सकते हैं, कैसे उनको हम डायग्नोस कर सकते हैं। तो यूरिन में इन्फेक्शन वाला मोस्ट कॉमन इन्फेक्शन हम जिससे जानते हैं कि यूटीआई उसको बोलते हैं। यूटीआई जो होता है मेन जो होता है ब्लैडर में होता है, और जो यूरिनरी ट्रैक्ट होता है उसमें जब ब्लैडर का इन्फेक्शन अगर हम ट्रीट नहीं करते हैं तो धीरे धीरे करके ऊपर किडनी तक जा सकता है, जो कि एक कंडीशन होती है, लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग कंडीशन भी हो सकती है, उसको सेप्सिस कहते हैं। तो हम इस चीज को डायग्नोज करेंगे, हम कैसे ट्रीट कर सकते हैं, इस चीज को कैसे आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं। जो यूरिनरी ट्रैक्ट की एनाटॉमी जो होती है उसमें 2 किडनीज होती हैं, 2 यूरेटर होते हैं और एक ब्लैडर होता है। तो मेनली जो हमारी किडनीज होती है वो यूरिन प्रोड्यूस करती है, और जो यूरिन प्रोड्यूस करती है वो किडनी के थ्रू आके ब्लैडर में इकट्ठा होता है, और ब्लैडर से हम यूरेथ्रा के थ्रू यूरिन पास कर पाते हैं। तो मोस्ट ऑफ जो इन्फेक्शन होता है वो ब्लैडर में होता है, जो सिंपल यूटीआई उसको हम कहते हैं। जो मोस्ट ऑफ कॉमन इन्फेक्शन जो होता है वो मोस्ट ऑफ जो फीमेल्स होते हैं उनमें ज्यादा चांसेस होते हैं, बिकॉज उनका जो यूरेथ्रा की लेंथ होती है बहुत स्मॉल होती है, उसकी वजह से रिस्क ऑफ इन्फेक्शन के चांसेस ज्यादा होते हैं। मेल्स में ये चांसेस कम होते हैं क्योंकि मेल्स की यूरेथ्रा की साइज थोड़ी ज्यादा होती है, और आफ्टर द 50 इयर्स ये चीजें रिस्क ऑफ इन्फेक्शन मेल और फीमेल्स में दोनों में इंक्रीज होती है, बिकॉज क्योंकि मेल्स में जो होता है प्रोस्टेटिक एज ग्रुप होने की वजह से, प्रोस्टेटिक एनलार्जमेंट होने की वजह से ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन होता है, जिसकी वजह से प्रॉपर यूरिनेशन नहीं हो पाता है, और ये चीज फेस करनी पड़ती है। तो हम इस चीज को कैसे आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं? यूटीआई जो होता है मोस्ट कॉमन बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन होता है, जिसको हम आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए जब भी यूरिन पास करने के लिए जाता है पेशेंट, या फिर जो भी ह्यूमन बीइंग जाता है, तो उसको बर्निंग सेंसेशन होता है, व्हाइल यूरिनेटिंग उसको बर्निंग होती है। कई बार जो यूरिन होता है वो आपको बार बार जाना पड़ता है, फ्रीक्वेंसी आपकी इंक्रीज हो जाती है। सम टाइम आपको टॉयलेट तक जाने के लिए रश करना पड़ता है, विच इज कॉल्ड अर्जेंसी आपको होती है। और सम केसेस में आपको नॉक्चूरिया होता है। नॉक्चूरिया मतलब रात में आपको बार बार उठना पड़ता है, ये भी एक यूटीआई का साइन होता है। और सम पेशेंट्स में आपको जो सुप्रापिबिक एरिया, जो आपको ना टमी का जो लोअर पार्ट होता है, उसमें आपको पेन डिस्कम्फर्ट होता है। तो ये कुछ सिम्टम्स होते हैं, और मोस्ट केसेस में जब भी ठंड के साथ विद फीवर होता है, उन कंडीशंस में भी ये इन्फेक्शन का साइन होता है। तो मोस्ट ऑफ कंडीशन में ये सिम्टम्स होते हैं जिनकी वजह से यूरिन में इन्फेक्शन के सिम्टम्स होते हैं, उससे पता आगे प्रेसिपिटेट होती है, आगे चीजें बढ़ सकती हैं। तो ये इन्फेक्शन आगे बढ़ के किडनी तक जा सकता है, तो हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है। तो इस चीज को हम कम कर सके, इस चीज को हमें आइडेंटिफाई करना है। तो जब भी हमें ये चीज सिम्टम्स नजर आते हैं तो हमें इन चीजों को इग्नोर नहीं करना चाहिए, हमें अपने लोकल फिजिशियन या लोकल डॉक्टर को हमें कंसल्ट करना चाहिए। जब भी कभी अगर हम इस चीज को अवॉइड करते हैं तो किडनी तक जाएगा। तो पाइलोनेफ्राइटिस एक कंडीशन होती है, किडनी में स्वेलिंग हो जाती है, इन्फेक्शन हो जाता है, और हमें कई बार आईसीयू तक के एडमिशन की जरूरत पड़ती है। तो हमें इस चीज को कंट्रोल करना होता है। अब जब भी कभी ये प्रॉब्लम हमें डायग्नोस करनी होती है, तो हमें जब फिजिशियन के पास जाते हैं तो हमारे जितने भी सिम्टम्स हमें होते हैं, वो सिम्टम्स हमें प्रॉपर हमें अपने फिजिशियन के साथ शेयर करने चाहिए। अपनी जो हिस्ट्री होती है वो डिटेल में शेयर करनी होती है। अगर हम कोई हिस्ट्री छुपाते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं कोई रीजन हमारे बिहाइंड रह सकता है कि उस प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है। तो जब भी कभी हो तो हमें ये चीज डायग्नोस के लिए पूरा हमें फिजिशियन से शेयर करना चाहिए। जब फिजिशियन इस चीज को एडवाइस करता है तो हमें कुछ ब्लड टेस्ट और कुछ यूरिन टेस्ट हमें करने होते हैं, जिनकी वजह से हमें पता चलता है कि इन्फेक्शन का जो सीवियरिटी का लेवल है वो कैसा होता है। इन्फेक्शन, मोस्ट ऑफ इन्फेक्शन जो होते हैं वो सिंपल यूटीआई होते हैं, जो कि ट्रीटेबल होते हैं। 3 से 5 दिन का एंटीबायोटिक कोर्स है, मैक्सिमम 7 डेज ओरल एंटीबायोटिक का कोर्स होता है, वो लेके हम उसको ट्रीट कर सकते हैं। तो उन रूटीन इन्वेस्टिगेशन अगर हम जब भी कभी जो डॉक्टर्स की जो प्रिस्क्रिप्शन जो एंटीबायोटिक्स होती है, जो मेडिसिन का कोर्स होता है, उसको अगर हम टाइम से ना ले और अगर हम उसको आधा अधूरा छोड़ देते हैं तो उस कंडीशन में वो इन्फेक्शन के चांसेस और ज्यादा वर्स हो सकते हैं, और ज्यादा बढ़ सकता है। तो हमें उस चीज को कभी इग्नोर नहीं करना चाहिए, जो ट्रीटमेंट हमें उसको कंप्लीट करना चाहिए इस चीज के लिए। डॉक्टर कई बार एडवाइस करता है हमें इस चीज के लिए कि आपको अल्ट्रासाउंड करना है, आपको ब्लड टेस्ट में यूरिन रूटीन कल्चर करना है, सीबीसी के एफटी करना है। तो जब हम यूरिन का जब हम सैंपल देते हैं तो बहुत बार क्या होता है, सैंपल इनकरेक्ट होता है, प्रॉपर वे में हम सैंपल नहीं दे पाते हैं। तो जब सैंपल देना है तो हमें जब भी हल्का यूरिन का प्रेशर, नॉर्मल प्रेशर और ड्राई करने के कुछ देर बाद जब थोड़ा यूरिन पास कर लेंगे तो मिड सैंपल होता है, उसको मिड सैंपल बोलते हैं। वो हमें लेबोरेटरी में देना चाहिए। उसके 2 बेनिफिट होता है, एक तो जो एक्चुअल रिपोर्ट है वो हमें मिलेगी और यूरिन में कंटामिनेशन नहीं आएगा। समटाइम जो कल्चर एडवाइस करते हैं तो बहुत से पेशेंट बोलते हैं कि हमें कल्चर का जो सैंपल है वो हमें मॉर्निंग सैंपल ही देना होता है, तो ऐसी चीज नहीं है। जब भी आपको लगे आपको उस चीज के लिए सैंपल दे सकते हो, उसमें लिए कोई मनाही नहीं है इस चीज के लिए। बहुत बार जब इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए पेशेंट्स जाते हैं, अल्ट्रासाउंड करना है, तो रेडियोलॉजिस्ट बोलता है कि आप खूब पानी पियो, ब्लैडर बहुत फुल करना होता है। तो ये बहुत मिथ है, इस चीज के लिए ज्यादा ब्लैडर फुल करने की जरूरत नहीं होती है। जब भी कभी आपको अल्ट्रासाउंड के लिए जाना हो तो एक रीजनेबल प्रेशर होना चाहिए, और आपको जो लिक्विड लेना है आपको अपने थ्रस्ट के हिसाब से लेना है, आपको थोड़ा टाइम एक्स्ट्रा देना चाहिए। उस कंडीशन में आपका जो डायलिसिस होकर ब्लैडर में जो नॉर्मल प्रेशर होगा तो आपकी पैथोलॉजी नॉर्मल रिपोर्ट होगी। अदरवाइज बहुत ज्यादा पानी पीने से ब्लैडर बहुत ओवर डिस्टेंट होता है, उसकी वजह से रिस्क ऑफ इन्फेक्शन बढ़ सकते हैं, ब्लैडर डिकम्प्रेशन होने के चांसेस होते हैं। तो जब भी कभी अल्ट्रासाउंड के लिए जाते हैं उस वक्त अपना रीजनेबली नॉर्मल प्रेशर आपके साथ होना चाहिए। नेक्स्ट ट्रीटमेंट की बात करें, जब भी कभी ट्रीटमेंट जो होता है हमेशा ही हमें जाके अपने डॉक्टर या फिजिशियन से कंसल्ट करना चाहिए। कभी भी मेडिकल शॉप पे जाके कि भैया मेरे को जलन हो रही है, मेरे को कुछ दवाई दे दो, कुछ एंटीबायोटिक दे दो, आधा अधूरा ट्रीटमेंट कभी नहीं लेना चाहिए। तो जब भी हो आप अपने प्रॉपर फिजिशियन को दिखाइए। प्रॉपर फिजिशियन को दिखाने के बाद जो दवाइयाँ एडवाइस करते हैं वो दवाई का कोर्स पूरा होना चाहिए। कई बार क्या होता है कि आपने 3 दिन एंटीबायोटिक ले ली, आज तो मैं ठीक हूँ, मुझे जरूरत नहीं और लेने की, तो वो चीज नहीं करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि जब तक एंटीबायोटिक का एक अपना कोर्स ड्यूरेशन होता है वो आपको पूरा प्रॉपर करना चाहिए। जब तक आप कंप्लीट कोर्स नहीं करोगे आपका बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन जो है पूरा गेट आउट नहीं होगा बॉडी से, और वही इन्फेक्शन रिकरेंट होके आपको आगे प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट करता है। तो ये चीज आपको अपने दिमाग में रखना है, ध्यान रखना है इस चीज का कि जब भी कभी हमें जो ट्रीटमेंट लेना, जो एंटीबायोटिक जितने दिन के लिए प्रिस्क्राइब कीजिए हमें उतने टाइम के लिए चाहिए। ये जो चीजें होती हैं हम जो इन्फेक्शन होता है उस इन्फेक्शन को हम कैसे प्रिवेंट कर, तो ये चीजें हम कुछ हद तक इस चीज को इन्फेक्शन होता है उसको हम कैसे प्रिवेंट कर सकते हैं। प्रिवेंट, जब भी कभी आपने बहुत सी चीजों लोगों को सुना इंडिया में पानी पीने की टेंडेंसी बहुत ज्यादा होती है, तो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम क्या होता है ज्यादा पानी पियो। ऑफिस वर्क वाले जितने क्या करते हैं कि मेरा काम खत्म होगा तो मैं यूरिन पास करने जाऊंगा, तो बहुत टाइम के लिए होल्ड करते हैं, तो वो नहीं करना चाहिए। होते हैं और इन्फेक्शन हो सकता है, सिस्टाइटिस हो सकता है। तो आपको जो नॉर्मल इंटेक फ्लूइड लिक्विड इंटेक आपका होना चाहिए वो 2 से 3 लीटर पर डे का होना चाहिए, ज्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए। जब भी कभी अपना जो है हाइजीन मेंटेन करके रखना चाहिए। और यूरिन में जब भी अगर आपको रिकरेंट फ्रीक्वेंट इन्फेक्शंस अगर होते हैं तो उस कंडीशंस में आपको विटामिन सी लेना चाहिए, वो जो कि आपको यूरिन को एसिडिक बनाता है और बैक्टीरियल ग्रोथ को कम करता है। तो विटामिन सी आप जरूरत नहीं कि आप टेबलेट फॉर्म में लो, आप इसको विटामिन सी को आपको जूस के फॉर्मेशन में ले सकते हो ताकि आपका लिक्विड इंटेक भी आ जाएगा, उसमें हाइड्रेशन भी मेंटेन हो सकता है। क्रैनबेरी जूस होता है, ऑरेंज जूसेस होता है, लेमन जूस होता है, वो आप इस चीज को ले सकते हो। दूसरा है कि मोस्ट ऑफ टाइम पे जब हम ट्रैवलिंग से जल्दी घर जाने के चक्कर में हम यूरिन थोड़ा सा लग रहा है तो होल्ड कर लेते हैं, वो आपको नहीं करना चाहिए। अगर आपको ऑलरेडी यूटीआई के सिम्टम है तो आपको लॉन्ग टाइम यूरिन होल्ड नहीं करना चाहिए। ऑफिस छोड़ने से पहले आपको बाथरूम यूज करना चाहिए, बस में ट्रैवलिंग करने से पहले आपको बाथरूम यूज करना चाहिए, और अगर आप लॉन्ग ड्राइव पे जा रहे हो तो आप उस बिटवीन आपको रेस्ट लेके आपको यूरिन पास करना चाहिए। अगर आप उसे लॉन्ग टर्म तक होल्ड करोगे तो उसकी वजह से ब्लैडर में जो सेकेंडरी चेंजेस होते हैं वो भी डेवलप होंगे, आपको रिस्क ऑफ इन्फेक्शन भी होगा, आपको असेंडिंग यूटीआई होने के चांसेस भी बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं। प्रेफर करना चाहिए कि हम जब भी टॉयलेट यूज करें हमें क्लीन टॉयलेट यूज करना चाहिए, हमें इस चीज के लिए ध्यान रखना चाहिए। Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, BL, for this crisp and to the point presentation. And thank you very much for enhancing our information and knowledge about UTI. I hope everybody would be agree. It was very simple and crisp. Thanks a ton. Over to you, Chris.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Now it's time to move on to our last
No,
section.
before, excuse me, ma'am. I'll
Please.
just ask questions for
Oh,
public
sorry.
as well as. So here comes our next question for our public, and this is एक minute. Just a minute. So I repeat because this quiz is only for persons who are not from nursing. I repeat, this is not for nurses or nursing students. Those who are really watching, those are from other field. You can just answer our question. You have to choose the single answer which would be most suitable for you, single or double, whatever you feel. The one who write the correct answer will be the winner. And the question is, which of the following is correct about paralytic attack, or we can call it as stroke or laqua? Which of the following is correct about paralytic attack? Option A, it has warning signs. Option B, it happens due to bad luck. Option 3, it can be prevented by herbal medicine. And last option is controlling blood pressure is very useful. So this is the question for public only, not for any nursing students or nursing faculty. Thank you so much. Over to you, Rekha ma'am.
Thank you, Chris. Now it's time to come to our last section, that is talent section, where we could showcase our students' talent. Today we have an extraordinary child having lots of potential to touch anybody's heart by her writing skill. She is recipient of various awards and recognition in the field of poem, kavita, ghazal. She is an excellent student. Zainab Naz, a BSc fourth year nursing student. Welcome, Naz, in our Hughes talk show. Over to you, Miss Naz. Zainab Naz.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much. I would request the team to play my video.
Yes, Janam, I'm just doing.
Thank you, ma'am.
I just request, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Only the screen.
Yeah. Just a moment.
If it takes time, then Naz can continue with her next poem.
It's there. It's there.
It's there. Azad hu main. She can continue with that.
मैं आज भी रहूंगी किचन में और तुम छत पर पतंग उड़ाओगे। मैं आज भी रहूंगी किचन में और तुम छत पर पतंग उड़ाओगे। पर जमाना कहता है आजाद हूँ मैं। तुम छत पे जोर जोर से गाने बजाना और अगर दिल करे तो नाच के भी दिखाना। पर मैं अगर छत पर गई तो जमाना क्या कहेगा? और वही जमाना कहता है आजाद हूँ मैं। मुझे कपड़े जमाने के हिसाब से पहनने होंगे। दिल ढलने से पहले घर आना होगा। अगर कोई पसंद आ जाए मुझे तो छुपाना होगा, क्योंकि मुझसे मेरे अब्बा की इज्जत जुड़ी है। और जमाना कहता है आजाद हूँ मैं। अगर किसी के साथ घूमने जाऊं तो गलती मेरी। कोई और मुझे बहला कर ले जाए तो भी गलती मेरी।
Rupa, actually the video is not visible.
Rupa, video is not visible, beta.
पर जमाना कहता है आजाद हूँ मैं। मेरा दुपट्टा जो सरका तो नजर उसकी गई। मेरा दुपट्टा जो सरका तो नजर उसकी गई। गलती उसकी नहीं, मुझे खुद को संभालना नहीं आता। वो अगर देर से घर आए तो कोई लूट। वो अगर देर से घर
Rupa, can you replay again, because the video is not coming, only audio is we are able to listen. You can pick COVID warrior also, COVID warrior, whatever comfortable. Please continue.
Is it visible? I request.
No.
No, ma'am.
I sincerely apologize.
Naz, you can continue with your COVID poem in the meanwhile, please.
Yeah, please, Naz, take
Please,
the
Naz.
opportunity and speak.
Okay, ma'am.
Please, what do you know?
तो वेरी गुड इवनिंग टू वन एंड ऑल प्रेजेंट हियर। ये एक छोटी सी कविता है जो मैंने कोविड वॉरियर्स के लिए लिखी थी लॉकडाउन में। एंड थैंक यू सो मच रेखा मैम, आपने बहुत इंस्पायर किया है हमेशा, तो आपकी इजाजत चाहूंगी। तो शुरू करती हूँ। भुलाकर सब कुछ वो फर्ज निभाने निकले हैं, भुलाकर सब कुछ वो फर्ज निभाने निकले हैं, जब तुम घर में बैठे हो वो मर जाने निकले हैं, जब तुम घर में बैठे हो वो मर जाने निकले हैं। कर्जदार नहीं है बस मिट्टी का कर्जा चुकाने निकले हैं, कौन बचा कौन शहीद हुआ किसको खबर, कौन बचा कौन शहीद हुआ किसको खबर, वो तो बस कोरोना को हराने निकले हैं। बिछड़ गए अपने घर परिवार से तुम्हारे खातिर, बिछड़ गए अपने घर परिवार से तुम्हारे खातिर, और तुम कहते हो बस नाम कमाने निकले हैं। वो डॉक्टर नर्सेस भी तो किसी के माँ बाप हैं, वो डॉक्टर नर्सेस भी तो किसी के माँ बाप हैं, जो अपने रिश्तों को भूल अपना फर्ज निभाने निकले हैं। जिसे तुम देते नहीं इज्जत जमादार समझकर, जिसे तुम देते नहीं इज्जत जमादार समझकर, वही आज हिम्मत कर देश को बचाने निकले हैं। जरूरी तो नहीं सीमा पर जान देना ही देशभक्ति हो, जरूरी तो नहीं सीमा पर जान देना ही देशभक्ति हो, वो देखो अस्पतालों में आपको बचाकर मर जाने निकले हैं, वो देखो अस्पतालों में आपको बचाकर मर जाने निकले हैं। शुक्रिया, बिग सैल्यूट टू ऑल।
Thank you, Zainab. Rupa, are you able to continue, or shall I conclude?
Please do the conclusion. I'm
Okay.
sincerely sorry, Zainab, and if Zainab can recite that.
Yeah, Zainab, you can speak the "Main Azad Hoon," please.
Yes, ma'am, I can. My next poem is about girls, जिन पे थोड़ी रोक टोक ज्यादा होती है। कुछ कम्युनिटीज में आज भी गर्ल्स पीछे हैं, उन्हीं के लिए मैंने लिखा था। ये ख्याल था बेसिकली, मैं 15 अगस्त पे रोटियां बना रही थी और ऊपर सब सारे लड़के एंजॉय कर रहे थे, तब ये ख्याल आया था, तो वही लिखा था मैंने। इसका टाइटल है आजाद हूं मैं। तो आई विल स्टार्ट। मैं आज भी रहूंगी किचन में और तुम छत पे पतंग उड़ाओगे, मैं आज भी रहूंगी किचन में और तुम छत पे पतंग उड़ाओगे, पर जमाना कहता है आजाद हूं मैं। तुम छत पर जोर जोर से गाने बजाना और दिल करे तो नाच के भी दिखाना, पर अगर मैं छत पे गई तो जमाना क्या कहेगा, और वही जमाना कहता है आजाद हूं मैं। मुझे कपड़े जमाने के हिसाब से पहनने होंगे, दिन ढलने से पहले घर आना होगा। मुझे कपड़े जमाने के हिसाब से पहनने होंगे, दिन ढलने से पहले घर आना होगा। अगर कोई पसंद आ जाए मुझे तो छुपाना होगा, क्योंकि मुझसे मेरे अब्बा की इज्जत जुड़ी है और जमाना कहता है आजाद हूं मैं अगर किसी के साथ घूमने जाऊं तो गलती मेरी, कोई और अगर मुझे ले जाए तो भी गलती मेरी। अगर कोई ज्यादती हो मेरे साथ तो सवाल सिर्फ मुझसे होंगे, सिर्फ लड़कियों से ही सवाल होते हैं। तो अगर कोई ज्यादती हो जाए मेरे साथ तो सवाल सिर्फ मुझसे होंगे, और वही जमाना कहता है आजाद हूं मैं। मेरा दुपट्टा जो सरका गया तो नजर उसकी गई, गलती उसकी नहीं, मुझे खुद को संभालना नहीं आता। वो अगर देर से घर आए तो कूल रूल, मैं अगर लेट हो जाऊं तो बच चलन, खैर जमाना कहता है आजाद हूं मैं। अपनी मर्जी से देर तक सो नहीं सकती, टूटा हो दिल तो खुल के रो नहीं सकती। बीमार हूं पर मुझे खाना तो बनाना होगा, बाहर अगर जाना है तो पूछ कर जाना होगा। उफ, कैद करके खुद के ही दकियानूसी रिवाजों में, कैद करके खुद के ही दकियानूसी रिवाजों में, कमबख्त जमाना कहता है आजाद हूं मैं। शुक्रिया।
ब्यूटीफुल, बहुत बहुत अच्छा जनाब। आपके लिए बस मैं यही कहूंगी,
सुपर सुपर
जनाब आपके लिए बस मैं यही कहूंगी, ये परिंदे यूं जमीन पर बैठकर क्यों आसमान देखता है, परिंदे क्यों जमीन पर बैठ के आसमान देखता है, अपने पंखों को खोल क्योंकि जमाना तेरी उड़ान देखता है।
शुक्रिया मैम, बहुत
और
ही
हमेशा याद रखना, कोई वकालत नहीं चलती, कोई वकालत नहीं चलती जमीन वालों की, कोई वकालत नहीं चलती जमीन वालों की, जब फैसला आसमान से आता है. Always remember. God bless you. Stay blessed. Keep writing. You have lots of
Thank you,
potential, beta.
ma'am. Thank
Keep
you so
writing. Stay blessed.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you
Wow,
so
Zainab.
much. Yeah. thank
Zainab,
you.
really, I'm proud
We
of
have
you.
no words, Zainab.
So
Okay,
here I am
ma'am.
sharing our
Thank
answer.
you so
May I?
much.
Hi. Over to
Yeah,
you,
because
Rupa or
we have,
Chris.
yeah, we have time limit, so it's time to share the answer. Just a moment, please.
Okay, I will talk.
Hello.
The student answer of 36 is correct. While Chris is sharing the answers, every liter of oxygen adds 4% of fractional inspired oxygen. So if a patient is getting 4 liters of oxygen, 4 into 4 is 16, plus room air is 21% oxygen. So 21 plus 16 is 37, but 36 is also very acceptable. So for those of you who haven't understood what is fractional inspired oxygen, this is a good opportunity to learn. So I can see that Manisha is the first one who has answered. Chris, you're sharing the screen. So I
Yes.
hope you understand how this answer comes. Every liter of oxygen adds 4% fractional inspired oxygen to people whom we are giving oxygen. So 36 is also fine. Congratulations to Manisha and to few others who knew the answer. And others, please learn.
So as ma'am already explained about this answer, that fractional inspired oxygen percentage or of concentration of oxygen that a person inhales and how it would be calculated. Yes. So we have winner, Miss Manisha. She's a third year student from PGI Chandigarh. And thank you, Manisha, and congratulations. And our next question was, which of the following is it visible?
It was visible.
Yeah, it is visible now, Chris.
Okay, thank you. So that was our another question. Which of the following is correct about paralytic attack and stroke? And correct answer is both. It has warning signs as well as it control blood pressure, but controlling blood pressure is also very useful. So the winner is Mrs. Sai Lakshmi Parameshwaran, Madam Sai Lakshmi. Thank you so much and super job. Everybody has done great. Thanks to all who have participated. And I just want to conclude. Before conclusion, I just want to give an invitation for our next show, which would be on 26 March. We have a great speaker in inspiring us, sharing stories. Then student session. For student, our topic would be like, if I am the health minister of my state, I will be. So that would be the question, that would be the session students topic. And we have another topic on public health, which would be on paralytic attack. So this is about our next show. Don't watch to miss out our next show. You are the partners in our journey also. So we pay our heartfelt gratitude to all of you who have joined with us today, and your feedback always matters us. As we know, ऐसे हिंदी में कहते हैं, लाइक खुशी के लिए काम करोगे तो सिर्फ खुशी नहीं मिलेंगे, लेकिन खुशी होकर काम करोगे तो जरूर खुशी मिलेगा. So this is the success of our Nurse Talk Show. So we all work very happy, and our team, I cannot say, because this would not have been possible without the wonderful support of our core team. So lastly, but certainly not least, I express my sincere gratitude to all of you have coming and joining, taking your time to join us. Thank you once again. Shubh Ratri. Thank you.
Thank you.